Dragon's Dogma 2. It's currently sitting at an 86 overall, which by that definition, that means that most people like the game. But that doesn't mean everybody likes the game. I mean, you see the user score. So welcome back to a series that I call Bad Reviews for Good Games. And today we're taking a look at what the haters have to say about Dragon's Dogma 2. And our first review comes from Mr. Martins, and he gives Dragon's Dogma 2 a 3 out of 10. He goes on to say, this game is really low mid. I don't know what that means. I don't know. It sounds like a Reno player in Tekken 8, just spamming lows and mids, rolling all over the fucking ground, whatever. Anyways, I don't know how anyone thought this cold, I think he meant could be Game of the Year worthy. The game lags a lot on PS5. It's not lagging, it's frame drops. Learn the difference, single player game. Only one save file and freaking microtransactions on a single player game. Please don't make games anymore. Are you telling Capcom not to make games anymore? What? Thank God I was able to get a refund. Full price drop for this dog crap? Shame on you. I'm looking forward to the 0 awards at the Game Awards. I don't know about that because I don't know what other games are coming out this year. I think this still is, I mean, based off what I played, I think it's probably going to get a nomination for Game of the Year. Even if it doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised if it wins something in a different category. I know you're hoping, but it is a good game with some issues, and we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. I'm a little suspicious of this review, just because, like, he didn't really mention anything that you didn't like about the game. Because to give something a 3 out of 10, it's got to be really bad. To me, Dragon's Dogma 2, it passes the threshold in terms of quality test, meaning like you can't give it anything lower than like a 5 or a 6, right? Now, if you don't like the microtransactions, like that's cool. Although people I think are blowing it out of, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I don't think you play the game, dog. For those unaware, there's a whole drama going on with the microtransactions, and my stance on it is I 100% agree with everybody when they say that it should not be in a single player game. I'm with y'all on that fucking bullshit. I don't think it was the developers. I think it was Capcom. Where I am a little iffy is I don't think a lot of people who are making a big hoopla on the internet about the microtransactions is, I've seen a lot of people saying this game is pay to win. It's not. Everything that's you can buy in terms of microtransactions, you'll get in the game like tenfold. Just play the game and you'll get tons of it. So like, I don't think a lot of these people actually played the game. Is it annoying that it's there? Sure, but like you don't need it. Now, what I will say is I think it's fucking bullshit that there's only one save file in the game. I agree with that 100%. That's fucking bullshit. People want to maybe run multiple builds. The only ideology I can think behind that is maybe the developers thought, oh, because you can change your vocation at any time, you only need one save. It's still stupid. I don't understand why multiple save files is not like a standard in games. I 100% agree with that. And then also the frame rate. I don't know how it is on PS5. I'm playing on Xbox. The frame rate is uncapped. It's usually hovering around the 40s. It's playable. It could be better. Hopefully they patch and drop like a performance mode. But I still question this review, giving it a 3 out of 10, because despite the minor issues that it does have, this game is still fire. It is still fun. And it kind of feels like this review is just regurgitating talking points that I've seen from like YouTubers who I believe didn't play the game. Because if you played the game, and I'm so glad the internet is kind of pushing back on this, people who've actually played the game, like, yo, just play the game. Everything that's in terms of a microtransaction, you get in the game like tenfold. You don't have to work hard for it. You level up very quickly in this game. Like, it's not a pay to win game. Why are the microtransactions there? I don't know. Probably Capcom testing the water, so I will say don't buy them bitches, bruh. Please don't buy them. But in terms of it like being a pay to win, like that narrative, if you've heard that, that's not true. To the point where like I've even seen, and I'm not gonna say, I've seen some prominent YouTubers drop videos apologizing. And I seen a 10-minute video from this dude who had almost 1 million subs, basically admitted, in respect to him for acknowledging it, he basically admitted, I read a couple articles, I flew off the handle, I just decided to hate on the game. I didn't really do the proper research, but I played the game and I realized that it's not a pay to win game. Yo, do y'all want to have fun in 2024 and beyond? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I don't know. I don't understand the 3, but you're allowed to have your opinion. It is what it is. So our next review comes from Easty Beastie, who gave Dragon's Dogma 2 a 0 out of 10. They go on to say, how do you ruin a good game? Make fast travel as painful as possible. This game doesn't really contain fast travel. It's more of a convoluted mess. You need some obscure stones to travel around, and without them, you're basically out of luck, which is not 100% true. You can fast travel through the stones, but you can also fast travel through the ox cart, which is in every city, basically. You pay $100 or 100 gold, which is very easy to come by. You hop in the ox cart, and then you hit Y to go to sleep, and then you're in the next area. Sometimes you do get attacked by creatures, but I don't know. I found that kind of be fun for the most most part. But it could be better, but I wouldn't call it absolute shit. Picture this, a massive dragon is handing you on your own backside in Melve, and because of that, you have to trudge all the way back to Vernworth just to find some random bloke who's contemplating a career in the military. This is just one of many frustrating examples. What developers fail to grasp is that many players are fortunate to carve out just an hour a day to indulge in this game. Now, this is where I agree. This is where I agree. Because I kind of said this when that article came out. The developer kind of infamously came out and said that if your game requires fast travel, then your game is boring, basically. I agree. There are people out there in the world who work a 9 to 5, they got family, friends, they might only have an hour or two of free time to play a game and they just want to hop on and have fun. Putting fast travel in the game, I feel like it doesn't ruin the experience for people who don't want to use it because they're not going to use it regardless. So you might as well put it in there for those who want to use it. That being said, I also understand the other side of the spectrum, man. It's kind of weird. Like, the game is fun. There's constant dynamic events going on in the world. And if you only have an hour to play, if you just run around, you're gonna get into a lot of cool shit. Me personally, I do wish the fast travel was better in it. But then also the more that I played the game, I started to understand, I'm like, all right, this is not what I wanted it to be. This is what the director and the developers wanted it to be. And I'm gonna respect what they wanted to create. And once I started to respect what they wanted to make, I learned to appreciate it. I'm not gonna lie, I learned to appreciate it. But I also understand that from the spectrum of, yo, some people have very limited time. What's the name? So like the fast travel, it's not gonna ruin the people who don't want to use it. Put it in the game. I'm giving it a generous 1 out of 10. You gave it a 0, by the way, you lied. For ruining what could have been an enjoyable experience, and I'm on the verge of calling it quits. It's a shame because the game had the potential to be great, but instead it's being turned into a mind-numbing chore. Regrettably, it's too late for refunds. Also, my other problem with this review too, I was like, you're entitled to your opinion. This man didn't even mention the microtransactions. His man is solely upset about the fact that the fast travel isn't the best in this game, and you have to actually explore in a hardcore RPG. So that's where I'm gonna give a little bit of pushback. I understand your time is limited. I respect that. But if you know your time is limited, why do you keep picking up these hardcore RPGs? Why? Like, just go play Call of Duty. Like, as I've gotten older, I've learned to, there was a point in my life where like I was like, yo, Call of Duty shit, it's the same thing every year. Like, I think that was like my mid-20s. And like, as I've gotten into my 30s, I've learned to appreciate Call of Duty a little bit more, and I understand why it's still popular. As you have more responsibilities in life, kind of like what he's talking about, there are certain games that are just, they feel good to just hop on and play for an hour or two and get off. That fighting games, although you have to train, but you know, once you get good enough, you can just hop online, play a couple matches, get off. You got to pick up maybe a different game because like this is, you can't get upset. This is what the artist wanted to make, and you can't get upset that fucking it's not what you wanted, especially because I'm gonna be honest, the last game was like this. I think that's the real issue. So Dragon's Dogma 1, I'm yapping this time around. Dragon's Dogma 1 was a very niche game, at least when it first came out. And I feel like Dragon's Dogma 1 is one of the rare cases where a game came out and honestly it kind of flopped. It kind of, I want to say flopped, but it wasn't the biggest. And over the last 10 years, that game has garnered a cult-like following. And I think through word of mouth, people are like, yo, this game is amazing, da 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 da. And a lot of what you're complaining with was in that last game. And I think what happened with Dragon's Dogma 2 is that word of mouth got so big that Dragon's Dogma 2 damn near is teetering on crossing into the mainstream. I'm seeing so many memes and like TikToks and stuff like that all over my Twitter timeline. It almost reminds me of when Elden Ring came off. Not on that level, but like it's having, Dragon's Dogma 2 is having a moment. It is having a moment on social media. People are enjoying the fuck out of this game, and I think some of this anger stems from the fact that people weren't, it's being introduced to a newer crowd because it's crossing over and they weren't familiar with the first game, and they're judging it for what they want it to be versus what it was intended to be. And I think what's here is actually a good game. I'm gonna be honest, I completely disagree with this review. I respect you that you're upset about the lack of fast travel. I think it could be better too. But even though there's a lack, the fast travel's ass in this game, there's no way you can give it a 0 out of 10. This is kind of like a butthurt emotional response. Dragon's Dogma 2 passes the quality threshold, so you can't rate it a 0. It's one of those, I guess your opinion's kind of wrong. It's kind of wrong. What is? Gahil23 gave Dragon's Dogma 2 a 1 out of 10, and he goes on to say, the game crashed and I lost my 19-hour save file. Clearly unplayable. I recommend waiting for some updates, at least 20 bucks. Where did you get that number from? The game came with performance and optimization problems that are already unbearable, and now random crashes that make you lose your save game. This is enough to kill the game. Out a message in what appears to be a joke that they put on the screen saying that autosave is unreliable. A $70 game sending a message that to your face like that is a joke. I don't know what he's talking about right there. What I will say is I totally Although there's no way to confirm this is true or not. I haven't seen anybody report that they lost their save file. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a benefit of the doubt and say it's true. If this is true, you're 100%. I'm not gonna lie, I would uninstall the game too. It's crazy to me though, because this dude gave it a 1. The other dude gave it a 0 because of lack of fast travel. This man still gave it a 1, even though that he lost his save file. That's fucking crazy how people score shit. But I'm not gonna debate this one. If this really happened to you, you deserve every right to be mad. It is what it is, dog. So our next review for Dragon Dogma 2 comes from El Dennis. He gives it a 3 out of 10. He goes on to say, this game needed more time. I think he meant to put a period right there, because then it goes on to say, the pawns with you are absolutely brain dead. I disagree. And why do you have potions if you cannot use them? I'm about to fry this review. And this isn't Elden Ring. Why do you need to rest at a campsite all the time to restore your health when you have potions? This game was rushed out. All right, El Dennis, this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think this game is kind of crossing over into the mainstream, and we're having a lot of new players being introduced into the Dragon's Dogma world that aren't taking the time to learn the mechanics of the game, because there's some dead giveaways on this one. First of all, you said the pawns are brain dead. Actually, it's the polar opposite. So for those unaware, one of the main issues why this game is having like optimization issues, like some frame rate issues, is because this is a very CPU heavy game, and it's because the pawns are actually very intelligent. There's times where they do some dumb shit, like I've had a pawn fall off like the edge of the cliff in the middle of a fight or whatever, but for the most part, they're very smart. And like an example I give you, so like in the game, when your right hand pawn, other people can use your pawn in their game. That's kind of like the multiplayer aspect of it, kind of like the pseudo co-op aspect to it. And with that, when they come back and when your pawn comes back to you, they'll have memories of what they did with other players. So like you'll be running around the world, right? And this is why there's crazy optimization issues. This is a crazy feature. They'll be running around the world with another player and they'll run into a treasure chest. When they come back to you, if you run to that same area, they'll say out loud, if you're listening, hey, when I was in my travels in another dimension, I saw a treasure chest around here. I believe it was this way, and they'll point it to you. So to say that the pawns are brain dead, I don't think you got past the tutorial. I don't think you know what you're talking about. And another reason I know you don't know what you're talking about is you said, why do you have potions if you cannot use them? You didn't take the time to learn the gameplay mechanics. So here's how the game works. In the game, when you get hit, you don't lose all your health. You only lose like a little bit. So like there's the green health bar, and then when you get hit, you'll lose like a little bit, and then there'll be a white health bar. That white health bar is how much health can be restored. It's almost like kind of like the heat mechanic in like Tekken 8. That's the little bit that can be restored, and the way you get it back is you got to have your healer, or if you are a healer, hit you with a heal and then it'll restore it, or you can use your potion. But yeah, it sounds like to you didn't pay attention to the tutorials, and you've been trying to pop potions when you couldn't restore health in the first place. So learn the game. Then you say, this isn't Elden Ring. Why do you need to rest at a campsite? Why is Elden Ring in your brain the only game you're allowed to rest in a campsite? Which, by the way, newsflash, Elden Ring, as much as I love it, was not the first game to include a campsite. This is not a fair criticism. You're yapping. You're yapping. You said this game feels rushed out. It's been 10 years in the I'm not gonna lie, like there'll be times I'll be like, oh, I understand where people are coming from. This review is horrible, and this is why it's important to read reviews. I'm not gonna lie, we're gonna null and void your 3 out of 10 because I don't think you got past the tutorial. And if you did, you didn't read because you don't know how to play the game, and thus you're frustrated. Stop picking up hardcore games if you're not gonna bother to learn the mechanics. So we scroll down a little bit further, and our next review comes from Maddie, who gives Dragon's Dogma 2 a 3 out of 10, who goes on to say, Dragon's Dogma 2 in 2024 is really disappointing. Even compared to trouble launches like Cyberpunk 2077, it falls short. The game's optimization is terrible. Even on my high-end 4090 setup, the save system is so outdated that I lost about 7 hours of progress because of it. For a game released in 2024, these issues are unacceptable. Despite these problems, as an RPG, it's still good and has a very crazy open world, but I'd recommend waiting for a sale to buy it, and not to mention the microtransactions. So he still says he likes the game. It's more so like the optimization issues. I think where I gotta give a little bit of pushback is he said this game is really disappointing, even compared to trouble launches like Cyberpunk 2077. I think because Cyberpunk 2077 has gotten back in the good graces of people with the constant updates, there's been a bit of a revisionist history. As someone who played Cyberpunk at launch on PC, by the way, and at the time my PC was the most high-end there was, and someone who's played Dragon's Dogma 2 at launch, Cyberpunk 2077 was by far worse in terms of optimization. Not only was that shit blue screening, frame dropping, all types of, bro, I fell through the map. I've never fallen through the map in Dragon's Dogma 2, but the worst glitch that I ever had during Cyberpunk 2077, I remember there was if you guys played the game, you remember, there was these missions where there were these cars and they were fully autonomous and they had like feelings. They were like Android cars and you had to wrangle them back up and bring them back to like, I don't know, like a dealership or some shit. I don't know, whoever the owner was. I don't know. You had to chase some Android car down the street. And I remember I was chasing one in the city and I almost caught it. I was struggling to catch this car, right? I almost caught it, and then a van literally appeared out of thin air on top of my car, and I got stuck in place. I've never seen a glitch that bad in a video. Like, it was like Ubisoft bad. Like, and Cyberpunk's cool, but like at launch, so like to say that this optimization is as bad as Cyberpunk, no, it's not. That is revisionist history. This Dragon's Dogma 2 has issues, but it is playable. It is playable. Also, I got to give a little pushback on your PC. If you're gonna list your specs, you said you have a high-end 4090 setup. Yeah, listen, there's more PC gamers than ever, but if you talk to a lot of people, a lot of them, it's either their first or their second build. They really don't know a lot about PC gaming. So like when you say, oh, I got a high-end 4090 setup, I want to know your I want to know the GPU, the CPU, and the RAM, because who's to say that you don't got a 4090 with a Core i5 so your shit is bottlenecking? And what did we say earlier? This game is CPU intensive. It's not GPU intensive. So there's no point in even bringing up your GPU. So what's the rest of your PC look like? We don't know. There's a lot of people out here got bottleneck ass PCs. That being said, he still says he likes the game. There are optimization issues. I just had to give a little bit of pushback. The main thing is like the Cyberpunk. Like, Dragon's Dogma 2 is not as bad as Cyberpunk 2077. I gotta call Caposaurus Rex. Our next bad review for Dragon's Dogma 2 comes from Next Gym, who gives Dragon's Dogma 2 a 0 out of 10. He goes on to say, bad performance, boring combat mechanics, bad developer support, product not as expected, potential to be a good game if they tweak the obvious flaws. I'm gonna go ahead and call a cap on this review. I think Metacritic really needs to implement some type of verification system. I know Amazon has it where like you can see, oh, verified purchaser. They need to make it to where like if you're gonna leave reviews on games, you have to connect your PlayStation account to Metacritic. You have to connect your Steam account. That way we know it's a verified purchase. It also will make it easier to make these type of videos because I don't think you played the game. And the reason being is like fair criticism, the bad performance. You know what I've never heard anybody say? You've heard people say in this video probably bad performance, microtransactions, fast travel sucks. You know what nobody says about Dragon's Dogma 2? Boring combat mechanics. What? Climbing on the back of a dragon or a cyclops, stabbing him in the eye, getting tossed around. I've seen clips of people flying on the back of a griffin, fucking stabbing it in the neck, and it falls in the middle of the ocean. I've seen a clip of somebody using the ox cart to fast travel. They woke up and a fucking griffin swooped down and blew the fucking ox cart up and they had to fight. So when you say bad combat mechanic, what? I don't think you played the game, bro. I don't think you played the game. We're gonna call a cap on this, and this is why I say it's very important to read the fucking reviews, bro. If anything, it's actually the opposite. This is in defense of the people who are upset about the fast travel and the microtransactions and the performance issues. I think these criticisms are coming from a place of love because they see like, yo, the game looks so fun, but it has some glaring issues. So when they're criticizing Capcom, it's coming from a place of love. And to me, this is coming across as somebody who's just wanted to hop on the hate bandwagon and you don't know what you're actually talking about. So you just wanted to type something. Yeah, this shit's got boring combat. Even if you would have said boring traversal, I might have gave you that. Like some people don't want to run around. That's why they think the fast travel should be, but boring combat. If there's one thing this game's got going for it, the combat is fire. Fuck out of here, bro. So our next review comes from Gal Palea, who gave Dragon's Dogma 2 a 0 out of 10. He goes on to say, the game's optimized with ass. I think he meant to say the game's optimization is ass. I literally have between 10 and 15 frames per second during fights. It's a shame to force people to play in 4K 30 FPS without a performance mode and to release a game like this in 2024, Capcom. You are allowed to be upset about the performance, but I gotta ask. Before you bought the game, I'm sure you watched reviews, you watched streams. I don't think I saw a single review before this game came out that said they did not have some performance issues. They did not have some frame drops. Now, and even if you didn't watch any of those reviews, I'm pretty sure you read some Steam reviews or PlayStation, whatever. There's no way you went into this game trying to run 4K knowing that it's being reported. Like, I just don't understand. I wish I could have a conversation with this person. What's the mind frame behind somebody who knows that a game has performance issues, but then tries to put it in 4K? You should have did 1440p or like 1080p to get better performance. I mean, that would have been, I'm not excusing the lack of obviously it needs to be updated, but I'm just thinking from the standpoint of like, what's best for you? If you know there's performance issues, why did you try to run the game at 4K? Also, I think you're full of shit. I don't think you played the game because you reviewed it on the PlayStation 5 and you're complaining about 4K. I'm sorry, I went on that whole tangent. Like I had to get that joke off. Yo, Metacritic, please add a verified purchaser feature because I'm gonna call Caposaurus Rex, Tyrannosaurus Cap on this fucking review. This man's complaining. The performance, yo, you watched the YouTube video. You wanted to hop on the hate train. This new internet is weird, man. I don't think you fucking played the game. You just wanted to hate on the shit, which, you know, whatever. But the dead giveaway is I couldn't play at 4K. Yeah, because you're on PlayStation 5. You could at least left this review in the PC section. Oh my God. And our next negative review for Dragon Dogma 2 comes from 11 Bang Bang, who goes on to say, it makes me wonder why they released a character creator allowing you to make 5 main characters and 5 pawns, then only allow you to have 1 save for the game. Honestly, if I would have known that beforehand, I wouldn't have bought the game. What a dumb system. Microtransactions in a single player game or any game for me is a complete no-go. I should have done more research about this game before I purchased it, and now unfortunately I'm stuck with a game I'm already bored with, and Capcom has a sale I regret giving them. No wonder these companies no longer offer demos. And to 11 Bang Bang, I have to say this is probably the best review that I've read on here. You are 100% valid in being upset, and not only are you valid in being, you articulated it very well. A point that I did not even think of. This is a fucking bar right here. I gotta clap my man up, because for those of you unaware, like a week or two before the game had came out, they released a demo that allowed you to play with their character creator. I didn't download the demo. I just like, whatever, I'm gonna wait till the full game comes out. So I was unaware of this. If anybody in the comment section can back up this claim, let me know who played the demo. But he's saying in the demo for the character creator, you're allowed to make 5 characters and 5 pawns. But then when you get the full game, you only get 1 save file. That's a bar. That's 100% a fair criticism. What the fuck is that about, Capcom? If I played the demo, that would annoy the fuck out of me if I got to the full game. That's 100% fair. And then he's also upset, obviously, with like the microtransactions and shit like that. And then I also respect the fact that he said I should have done more research about the game before he purchased it. I feel like I wish more people would say that shit. Like, just admit you just kind of went into it blind. Because like I said to that other dude earlier, I'm like, yo, you tried to play it in 4K. Every review said there were performance issues and you're complaining about 4K. Buddy, drop the fucking resolution. That will probably solve some of your problems. But yeah, I respect that he had at least admitted that he didn't do any research and he got. That being said, he shouldn't have got in the first place because Capcom, you shouldn't be doing this bullshit. You feel what I'm saying? But interesting. I like that first part about the five pawns and shit like that. That shit was a bar. And our next negative review comes from Don't Kill Me, who gives Dragon's Dogma 2 a 2 out of 10. He says, I give a 6 for the game, -2 for the launch disaster, and -2 for microtransactions. Fuck you, Capcom. And you know what? I respect this. You know why? This is what I've been saying earlier all throughout this video. Like, yo, in terms of the actual game, it's a quality game. But then, yeah, obviously it had a bad launch with microtransactions and shit like that. And that at least he acknowledged and like, that the game is cool, but it just has some issues outside of the game that probably weren't even the developer's fault, and he subtracted those points. And I feel like he articulated this, although I wouldn't agree with the 6, but even still, I feel like he was trying to be as fair as possible, and I feel like he articulated his score very well and how he ended up to a 2. And this is all I'd be asking. When I be making these videos, that's what I'd be asking. Yo, stop leaving these reviews.
This game fucking sucks.
Like, actually break it down. My man really broke down the math, and I have to respect his 2 out of 10. So I'm not going to debate him. You entitled to be upset and get your 2 out of 10 to Dragon's Dogma. And that's what the naysayers had to say about Dragon's Dogma 2. I didn't agree with everything, but I did agree with some things. And overall, it's just fun to see what everybody thinks about the game. Now, if you want to hear my personal opinion on Dragon's Dogma 2, do me a favor, click the card you see right there on your screen, and that'll take you to my video sharing my impressions on the game. I got some interesting thoughts, and I think you're going to want to hear them. So click the card on the screen and help a brother get some more watch time.